Welcome to Your Biz, Your Rules, the podcast for business-minded go-getters hosted by me, your favourite brain and biz coach, Daire Paddy. This is the spot for those of you ready to blend heart and head, woo and do, income and impact, change and chill, and so much more. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. I am so thrilled to be introducing the second interview that I did with Shaneil Stewart. Now, if you have not listened to last week's episode, stop what you're doing right now, go back and listen to that, because honestly, she dropped some true gems, especially if you're one of those people like me who has for so long felt like you have to maybe follow someone else's system, put yourself in a particular kind of box, or follow a particular kind of advice. Believe me, trust me, so many gems in that show. And if you've already listened, then you already know how amazing Shaneil is, and you can crack on with this episode. Enjoy. We are back with Shaneil, and today I want to kick off with this question. So what is a rule that you have either created or adopted for your business? Because as much as I love breaking rules, I also love creating new ones.
There's so many. Like, which one do I want to share? A rule that I've created or adopted in my business. I would say, like, your illusions and your delusions create your reality. Like, so the rule I've created is just be absolutely delusional. Like, be delusional. Like, this is like a life hack, by the way. But just be delusional. Believe, like, it's kind of like a spin on faith. But I just feel like when we think about people who are delusional, we're like, oh my God, you're so delusional. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm so delusional. Like, so I would say that's one. But let me see if there's another one, another rule. It all works. 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 It's working. It's actually working. It all works, and it actually works. Like, that's a delusion I hold. Like, it works. So I remember once when I used to teach digital marketing, like hardcore, right? Like, I used to teach Facebook ads and all that stuff. And I had a client where she was running some ads. And, you know, I always had life coaching and the marketing strategy piece as well. And she came to me and she was like, Shaneil, it's not working. I'm like, it's always working. She's like, Shaneil, I just spent this amount of money on ads and like I didn't get any leads and it's not working. I'm like, it's always working. So here's why I explained to her that it's always working. That result is feedback. How many people clicked? How many people saw the ad? How many people clicked on the ad? How many people got to the actual page? How many people clicked on the page? So there's data there, there's information there, there's wisdom to be extracted. It's always, always working. It only doesn't work when we decide it's not working. And so there are things that work when we see them, like we're looking at the analytics or whatever. And then there are things that work when we don't see them. So I use the example of the bamboo plant. When I plant a bamboo shoot, right? Not all species of bamboo, but some varieties, when you plant them, a year will pass and there will be no activity above ground. Like, you freaking forgot that you planted a bamboo. 2 years will pass and there is nothing, not even a little, nothing. And then a year will come where out of nowhere, you'll have this super surge of growth, tip to the tippity tip top, 10 feet, 15 feet, right? What happened? It was always working because the bamboo itself was sending down roots. And so it's always working. Everything is working. It's all adding up. It's all coming together. This is why I talked in the previous episode. If you guys haven't listened to that, definitely go listen to that one. But about the whole snowflake thing of every snowflake is like a snowflake pulls on another snowflake, and then it pulls on another snowflake. And before you know it, we now have a snowball, and the snowball is going, and the snowball is now the snowball is not just picking up one snowflake, because now it has more surface area. So that one snowball now, every roll is picking up 10, and it's picking up 20. And before you know it, it's getting heavier and heavier, and the momentum, and it's rolling and it's rolling. And before you know it, you have an avalanche, a literal force of nature. Now, if I was the little snowflake and I'm like, I want to be a fucking avalanche, I'm like, it's not working. It's not working. Like, it's just two of us. Now it's just two snowflakes. Like, now it's just three snowflakes. Always me. It's not working. It's always working. There are things in the realms unseen, in the spirit plane, in the quantum field, and there are things in the 3D plane. Sometimes it's good to look at things in the 3D plane because it helps us, or human, to calm down. It's like, okay, no one bought, but then there's like 100 people went to your page. So therefore, that means something on the page gets to be adjusted, right? It's always working if you're looking for what's working. If you're, and it's like when Edison had the 1,000 failed experiments, he said he just found 1,000 ways to not do it. How would he have known that these 1,000 ways weren't the way if he wasn't documenting them? Instead of, oh, it's not working, I'm gonna on this road trip to where I'm going, I'm gonna just turn back and go home because one thing went wrong. No, I'm gonna pull over to the side, take a little pee, maybe have a little pit stop, have a little snack, maybe have a little nap, and then get back on the road. It's like, it's always working. It's working, it's working, it's working. So that's my biggest rule that I created for myself, is that it is always working. It is always working. Every failure, and believe me, in 8 years, there have been a lot of failure. The first 8 months of my business, I made $0 and 0 cents. And then I booked my first client, and she was a nightmare client. And then I was traumatized. So then I didn't book another client for 4 more months. I had 34 discovery calls, and I heard 34 no's in a row. Rejection, 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 failure, failure, failure. But it was always working, because every failure had a lesson. Where am I trying to convince this person to like me? Where am I trying to pressure them to buy? Where do I not feel like they should buy because this price is too much? Or where do I do not want to sell this because the price is too low? So every...
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, so every failure has these little opportunities for a lesson, and if you extract the wisdom, it's working.
I think it can be really easy to see failure as a lesson when it is something that has analytics. Like when it has something with actual numbers, it's so much easier for your brain to be like, okay, yeah, like I can see what's worked, I can see what hasn't. But there are so many things that we do, like in our lives, in our businesses, that don't have a handy analytics page. So what do you recommend for people when that's the case, when that's the kind of issue that they're dealing with?
So especially for us entrepreneurs who maybe you're not running ads, a lot of times it's gonna be the things that we don't see, that our brains can't justify. And go back to being delusional and believing that your success is guaranteed. We're not even questioning that at this point. Your success is guaranteed. So it must be working, because my success is guaranteed, it must be working. But it's like, what would you have me say to them? For the person who, it's not the things they can see, it's the things they cannot see. You have to become delusional, genuinely. The answer is to be so delusional. And also to detach the outcome from your identity. I think a lot of times we make it didn't work mean I am a piece of shit, versus like it didn't work. It didn't work. The thing didn't work.
I just want to shine a light on something that you just did. So for anyone who missed it, what Shaneil just did is she just like paused for a moment and asked, what would you have me say to them? And that is a beautiful example of what to do when you don't feel like things are working. Ask those questions and listen to the guidance that you're given.
Yeah. I see what you did there. I see you. Yeah. Ask for the guidance, And then to give yourself, your human, a space to feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really wanted this outcome and it didn't happen. I feel disappointed. I feel sad. Like, I'm fucking pissed. Like, I'm sad. I feel.
And I think like that's an important thing to talk about too, because and I think especially in the very sort of soft, gentle, sort of like spiritual coaching community, you see a lot of the like, be positive, think positive, speak positive, like do everything positively, like every failure is feedback, it's not blah blah blah. But they don't honor that time that you need to actually navigate the messy human feelings, because when something goes wrong, something that you poured your heart and soul into, you feel disappointed, you feel frustrated, you can feel a lot of grief, you can feel a lot of like self-blame, like all of these like horrible negative feelings can swirl around and be very, very present for you. And it serves nobody to pretend that they're not there and to just try and power through.
I do not power through. Power through, that's not a thing not a thing. I don't do that. Before coming on this call here, I was having my shower and I had body, and I was like, put my hand in my face rag and I'm like, like, I'm like slapping the wall in the shower, I'm like, get it out. Like, I fucking feel all my feelings. People say like, oh my God, how are you such a happy person? Because I let my sadness have its moment. I let my bitterness have its moment. I let my moodiness, my anger, like, I have moments in the day where I'm like, phone's off. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to hear from anyone. Doors closed, not available. Shaneil time. I will literally take days to go to places in nature to just go be, decompress. We're humans. We're never going to not feel. So we have to feel, guys. Like, you're not weak for feeling. That's actually what builds the muscle of your heart. And that's actually what makes you strong. That openness to feeling. And not just in business, like, because even the thing in there, it was something about personal life. I was like, I just like scaring, like punching the wall, like, oh, just get it out. Like, because if you tune into your physical body, you can feel where it is. And you know, and it's like moving and stirring the energy in that part of the body. Whether it's the voice or the hands, so you feel like you're carrying a lot, back, shoulders, tightness in the chest, like, work it out, like stretch it out, you know? And I think I had another thing to add to the answer as well, of what to say to the persons where it's not something tangible that they can look at the numbers. It's understanding the core element of just physics. So in quantum physics, particles change when we look at them. That's core in physics, right? Particles change when we look at them. And I think it's Wayne Dyer has a quote that says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Right? When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Now, that can be from a place of perspective. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. But at the core quantum level, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at physically change. So I'm giving you a personal example, or a perfect example of this. Imagine you're in the train or you're in a bus and people start looking at you. You start to fidget, you start to like turn around, you like take out your phone, you try to pretend you're texting. You're like, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. We do this as literal physical beings because we are just mass of atoms. Our human body is a mass of atoms clumped together, perfectly designed, but still a mass of atoms. So when we look at the situation, right, whatever the situation is, it's like kind of like what we said in the last episode, that line from Florence's book, when will you no longer be in the dark? When you begin to see in the dark. So even just how we see things, it alchemizes things. Oh, by the way, guys, I have a neighbor with like a motorcycle. So if you hear these kind of things, please bear with me, okay? But when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so it's the things that you cannot see, how can you see in the dark regarding that? How can you rearrange the particles in a way where it moves towards what you desire? But obviously, let your human be a human first, and then come to this resolution, and then extract the wisdom.
I think that's a really important piece that you just identified there, because it can feel very tempting to jump straight into, okay, what's the solution for this, and skip out that annoying human part. But doing that, like letting yourself feel those feelings and just let them out, is what then will help you move forward in a more purposeful and positive way. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but if you ever try and, you know, just get back down to business when you're feeling like miserable or angry or whatever, like you don't create anything that's any good.
Not gonna happen. I literally set a timer to just go be a human. So I will say, well, I'm just gonna go give myself 2, 3, 4 hours, depending on how bad I'm feeling. I may say I'll give myself a half a day or a whole day where I'm just gonna go be non-woke, non-aware, non-spiritual. I'm just gonna go binge some Netflix and eat wings and just give my human a chance to just sink into sadness for a moment. And then I'll come back and be like, you know, brave, bold, woke, spiritual leader of earth, catalyst, alchemist. Yes, rock star. I'll come back in 2 hours. Give me no, I'm on a lunch break.
My go, like, so if it's a little thing, then my go-to is just to go out for a walk. Because I like across the road from where I live, there's some like old railway lines that have been like, they're not railway, it's not a railway anymore, it's just like the old lines that's lined with trees. So even though I live in a city, it feels like you're just immediately in a forest. So if it's like a little thing, then I'll just go for a walk. If it's like a more significant thing, then it's bubble bath and a trashy romance novel, and I will sit in that bath and read the whole novel cover to cover, and by the time I'm out, I'm very shriveled, but I'm also feeling a lot better.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you gotta know and create processes, you know, or practices, you know. I reframe on the whole routine, but like you create processes. It's like, I know that when I'm feeling something around this, I just need to be out on my walk. When something like this, then I need to go have a bath.
Yeah.
When sometimes guys, genuinely, when we feel these feelings too, check. Have you eaten? Did you get enough sleep last night? Have you eaten something that, you know, and irritates you? Like, I'm not supposed to eat cheese, and then I'll go eat cheese, and then I'll be like, you know, feeling all the feels, and I'm like, why am I feeling like, oh, it's the cheese. So also, like, think about, you know, just your life in general. Know your triggers, know your mechanisms, healthy coping mechanisms, and give your human space to just expand into that, right?
Yeah, I always say that self-awareness is the greatest gift that you can give yourself. If you know what works for you and what really doesn't, then you're already way ahead of the game.
And the only way to know is to actually do the things, right? Because you know that the bath works because you've done it. And you're like, oh my God, I love how I feel after I come out of this.
But what I had to do is identify things when I was in a state of feeling okay.
Yeah.
So I had to sit there when I was feeling good and think, okay, what are some things that I can try when I'm like spiraling into actual insanity? Like, what can I give a go? And having that, and I like stuck a little like piece of notepaper to the side of my computer so that as soon as I started having that moment, it was in my eye line and I could just go and do one of those things. Because I can promise you that when I'm feeling the feelings, when I'm in that spiral, I am not going to be thinking like, oh, what can I do to make myself like, that's not going to happen. No, I'm going to stamp my foot. I'm going to want to like vent to anyone who will listen to me. I'm going to want to do things that make me feel even worse. I'll probably eat bread and I'm not supposed to have gluten. Like, I will do all of the things that make it even worse, which is why Sounds super basic, but having that little list in your eye line, game changer.
100%. And I love the part where you talked about doing it when you're in a more stable headspace, because then you can actually create effective solutions rather than when you're feeling in the whirlwind of the emotions. And, you know, like a mentor of mine, she has the phrase where she says, when emotions are high, intelligence is low. And I think it's a general phrase in general, but I heard it from her. But like when emotions are high, intelligence is low. And so it's like when we're in that whirlwind of feeling all the feels, the decisions that will be the best of service to us, they don't generally come through in that space, you know. So giving yourself the time to feel that, but then having that container after to be like, and what was the lesson from this? And what do I desire from this? And how do I want to put things in place and have that list moving forward, you know?
And, you know, don't try and make any important decisions when you're in that state. Like, that's also a little addition there.
Yeah. For me, when I'm in that state, I just don't need to be around people. Like that's the boundary that I set. Like, I just don't need to be around people, because like you were saying, you will want to like vent to them, right? And for me, if I'm venting and I don't feel like I'm getting the precise response, I'm not very emotionally intelligent in that moment, and I will probably not take your advice or think, why are you telling me what to do? I'm just trying to vent, or, you know, something. So I need space to breathe. But that's self-awareness. Somebody else may loathe that space and may really want to be held in that moment. So you have to know your own mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Self-awareness, everything. It literally just started raining as I said that.
I wish it would rain. We had a storm last week, so it was raining every day. But I like when it rains because it's not cold. But I like when there's a little, you know, I'm a little spooky girl sometimes. So I like a little gray cloud and a little misty, and just makes me feel.
Well, when I used to live in Spain, there was always a rainy season, but it was never a cold rainy season. It was really warm, like even the water was warm, but it was never light rain. It was always like torrential rain.
Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah, it's a different vibe.
It is. I don't know. I feel like maybe because I grew up with that, having hurricane season and the lightning and the thunder. Something about it is so soothing. I was born in this, you know, like in this kind of season. So it's like, lightning, thunder, spooky. I don't know. I like it. But I don't like when it's cold though. Hence I'm not in the Englands of places.
So I have another question that I need to ask, that I ask everybody. What is a song that makes you feel like your best self?
Ooh. Oh gosh, a song. Just what? Like I have different.
If you need more than one, you can have more than one. I'm building out an amazing playlist for all of the guests that I've had on here, so it'll be added to that.
Okay, so when I'm being like taking over the world and like being like superhuman rock star diva vibes, then I like the Sia song, I'm Unstoppable. Like I love that song. But when I feel like I'm in my feminine taking over the world, it's like, I'm a badass woman. What's wrong with that? That's a Meghan Trainor song. That feels good. And which other one? When it's like I'm in money vibes, it's Flo Milli, Rich Man, right? So it's like, if I were a rich man, but she's like a remake of it, like a rap version. So that's when I'm in like money vibes, you know. So it just depends on what I'm feeling. And when I'm like in bliss mode, it's what's that song? I've been playing it a lot lately. Moments We Live For by In Paradise. and the acoustic version specifically. That one is when I'm manifesting and I'm doing my morning practice, when I'm visualizing all this stuff and I'm reading my vision of what I'm creating and calling in over the next lifetime and my vision of myself. That's the song I play. When I hear that song, that's my manifesting song. That's the song of like, I'm calling in this thing. And it's so wild because when I'm doing that, I'm playing that song, I'm calling it in, I'm feeling the feelings, I have all the emotions, like I feel like I could cry, I get chills, and I also have different smells that I use as well, like peppermint, and all of that just gives me the vibe of it has happened. Like I'm living in that reality. And so the quantum field is activated, you know? And it's funny how literally every day I see little manifestations from the bigger vision. And I'm like, ooh, it's working. It's always working. So yeah, Moments We Live For by In Paradise. And it's the acoustic version specifically, because that one gives you the feels. So of all the songs, that's the biggest one.
So I will add all of those to our Your Biz, Your Rules playlist. But I love that you have like different songs for anchoring different states, because I have different playlists to anchor different states.
What's your favorite song?
So again, like it's completely depends on the vibe. So I have a playlist that I love listening to that I created called High Vibe Manifester. So that is my sort of morning routine kind of playlist. So if I'm meditating, if I'm doing breath work, if I'm journaling, anything like that, I love that. And it's got like a real nice mixture of songs in there. When I have just made some money, I always play the same song and dance around the room to it. So I play Good as Hell by Lizzo.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
Then I have kind of like a manifestation song as well that's called Honey Bee by The Head and the Heart. And right. I listen to that song, and like when it and I do this every single day. So every day of my life, I put this song on and I sit there and I close my mind. Close my mind. I don't close my mind. I close my eyes and I visualize my heart glowing, because it creates that, you know, when a song, like you can feel it in your chest. And I noticed that with that song. So that's why I anchored it in with this song. But I can feel my heart like glowing and just reaching out to the people that are like right for me and like drawing them in. And it's like a little 4-minute routine, but it's something that I do every single day. And it always makes me feel more connected to the people out there in the world that are meant for me. So even if I've had a moment where, you know, I'm not getting the attention that my ego wants, or I'm not making the sales that I think I should be, I still have that feeling in my body.
Yeah.
And so that's a song that I really love.
That's so good. I typed it in, so I'm definitely going to listen to it when we're done here. I want to hear this song because I want that glowy heart. Stay still.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's yeah, I mean, I could talk about this for days, because when I say I have many playlists, I mean I have many playlists. I have a playlist for, you know, when I wake up in a bad mood. I have a playlist for focus. I have a playlist for money. I literally have playlists for days.
Wow, I love, and I think, yeah, I love having a lot of playlists as well. I think one of my favorite non-business one is like the road trip playlist. You know, like when, you know, you're going on a road trip, it's like, these are my road trip songs, you know. Or I had a Sunday morning one, which is basically just Maroon 5, you know, like Sunday morning rain. It's very literal, but yeah, wow.
I'm trying to think of something that I will often do is for different like courses and programs I'll create a playlist with that kind of it. So you know how a lot of people will create branding for a particular program, I create a playlist for it.
But you see, that's your divine thing. That's your, you know how we're talking about like soul print?
Yeah.
Like that's soul print's expression. So like when I hear stuff like this, is like, you know how you can put music on your stories or make reels? Oh my gosh, just like those same songs, because you know the music comes from muse, which is to inspire, and so that speaks to the soul of the person. Just like how you described so much how Honeybee makes your heart just glow, it's golden glow. Like all the songs that you have for them, they feel it, and sometimes it's not the words that we say, it's that vibration, that aura, that, you know,
Yeah,
that they're feeling.
I love that. And yeah, so one of my favorites is called Unshakable Goals. So I created this course in, I don't know, 2018, 2019 called the Unshakable Goal System. And as a bonus, they've got this playlist and I still listen to it all the time because it always makes me feel unstoppable, like I'm getting the goal.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I love this. You guys listening are getting lots of golden nuggets, okay?
Yes.
Make sure you're like,
and like, guys, if you follow me on Spotify, you will find all of these playlists. They're just there publicly.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm definitely gonna be following your Spotify after. I want to.
Don't judge me. I was never allowed to control the playlist at a house party like that. And I honestly thought it was a travesty because I consider myself to have amazing taste in music, but it was not.
That's Hell by Lizzo. And then when you describe this Honeybee song to me, I think you should be picking the playlist. I think.
Thank you.
I trust you at my party with the playlist.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining me for these past 2 episodes. I feel like I know we've gone deep and talked about some really like profound and spiritual concepts, but I feel like it's also been very much anchored in things that people can take action on, which I know we're both fans of, combining that woo and do in all of the things.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. I love doing this. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. Guys, like Daire is amazing. Thank you, Daire. Thank you for just being you. Like from the first moment I ever spoke to you, I've always felt your heart and your vibe, that confidence, little firecracker. Like I just love it. So thanks for having me. I had fun.
Oh, thank you for listening to Your Biz, Your Rules. I know that we all like to listen to podcasts, watch videos, read articles or books or posts on Facebook and not really do anything with that information. So I want to challenge you right now. I want to challenge you to take something from this episode, anything, and use it to spark action. Use it to activate some kind of change in the way you work and the way you live. Do yourself this service today and tell me all about it on Instagram. Hop over, shoot me a DM or share an Instagram story showcasing what action you are taking thanks to this episode. And of course, do all of the usual things. Subscribe, leave a review, let me know how much you love the show, and I will be back with you next week.